Well guys, we have made it this far in my series of Alien reviews leading up to Alien Covenant. We have talked about a lot of movies and now we're going to talk about Alien vs. Predator. That's right, we're in the shit now. I was such a huge fan of this crossover as a kid. I loved the comics, I read some of the novelizations, of course the Super Nintendo game. I adored the idea of my two favorite aliens from my two favorite Alien movies at the time, Alien and Predator, combining. What a fantastic idea. And of course, in Predator 2, the greatest Easter egg of all time, when Danny Glover is walking around that ship, you can see a xenomorph skull in the background. And ever since then, fans went insane about the idea. And in 2004, we got Paul W.S. Anderson to finally direct it. So that happened. I recall seeing this in theaters, and I remember everyone at the time was so pissed off that it was PG-13. I honestly wasn't that bothered by it, I just found the rating reason hilarious. The fact that it actually says slime and gore. Like, slime is an actual reason for why it's rated PG-13. Kids, don't watch Nickelodeon. There's a lot of slime on Nickelodeon, it's bad for you. So AVP takes place in the year 2004. What now? If Alien takes place in the year 2122 and 57 years later in Aliens, we are told this.
We homed in on its beacon
and found something never recorded once in over 300 surveyed worlds.
If there's never been any recorded history of xenomorphs, how did this take place in the year 2004 and in the future they have no idea what's going on? Yeah, I know, the AVP movies aren't canon. But not everybody who saw this in 2004 knew that. A lot of people don't even know what the word canon means in regards to literature or film. Some people just go to these movies thinking it's part of the same series. To make matters worse, Lance Henriksen is in this movie and plays Mr. Wayland. And despite the fact that on IMDb he's credited as Charles Bishop Wayland, in the film he's always Mr. Wayland. This is the exact same actor who played the android Bishop in Aliens and the human counterpart of Bishop in Alien 3. How does all of this make any sense? It really doesn't. Right off the bat, we're kind of instantly confused if you're paying attention to Alien chronology. But you just have to accept the fact that these movies aren't related. Even though there are xenomorphs in them and predators, they're just not related, guys. Beyond the idea of aliens and predators fighting, what I like about this movie is the concept. I love the idea of this underground pyramid in the middle of Antarctica. It's a very secluded, isolated location. It's a very good idea because you can utilize the use of a lot of really good sets. You don't have to travel too much, and you can do all of it and feel very claustrophobic. There's a great sense of confinement and isolation in this movie that's reflected very well in the use of some really good sets, and it actually does boost the suspense level. I actually like AVP more than Alien Resurrection. If I'm being brutally honest, I don't hate this movie at all. I actually find a lot of things to enjoy in it. When Paul W.S. Anderson directed Event Horizon, I saw that movie and I thought, man, this is really reminiscent of the feel of Ridley Scott's Alien. So the idea of him getting to direct a movie with xenomorphs is probably something he was pretty excited about. And when you watch this movie, you do get the sense that he is actually trying. Like when I watched Resident Evil Final Chapter this year, I hated everything about that movie. Even though he was probably trying because it was the last film of his baby franchise, it didn't seem like he was. With AVP, he actually seems like he's trying to make an okay film, at least a watchable, enjoyable entertainment. Because you don't go to these versus movies like Freddy vs. Jason and expect Schindler's List. And they did an okay job at presenting it and giving us some actually semi-fleshed out characters. They did make somewhat of an attempt to make us like some of the heroes in this movie. It's not like today where they just populate a movie with a bunch of random cardboard people and monsters come around and kill everybody. They actually did give an attempt to give us reasons to care about these people, like the one scientist who has children at home and he's creating a mini movie with his camera for his kids. I thought that was a really great idea. But at the same time, AVP falls back on a lot of the same traditional horror cliches we've come to expect at this point. We have a guy walking around a room getting spooked by noises, and since it's in the middle of Antarctica, they didn't have a raccoon or a cat around, so a penguin pops out. The setup for the movie is just a bit bland. I'll never forget seeing this in '04, sitting next to my one buddy, and when the alien and the predator finally start fighting, I remember him leaning over to me and going, "Finally." And I was like, I know. It takes a while to get to the action-y stuff. Leading up to them actually fighting, it's pretty much a stereotypical bland movie where a bunch of scientists are going someplace to investigate something and there isn't really any energy to it. When John McTiernan directed Predator, he made that movie explode. He gave so much vitality to every shot in that film. And when Ridley Scott directed Alien, he made one of the best suspense science fiction movies of all time. These two things coming together you think would be a lot more fun, and in AVP it's just kind of okay and disposable. There isn't really anything about this film that I utterly hate, because I didn't go into it with mammoth expectations. Due to the title alone, you go to a movie like this expecting one specific thing, these two creatures to fight. And Anderson actually directed the fights fine. Like, they're not great. There's some high frame rate shaky action every once in a while, but it's nowhere near as bad as Resident Evil Final Chapter. And I'll be honest, probably seeing his later films after Alien vs. Predator and then going back yesterday night and rewatching this movie, that probably helped me appreciate the direction here a little bit more, having seen what his films have become since then. In this film, you could tell that he was actually still giving at least a semi amount of effort to really try. He did some shots that directly tribute Ridley Scott's Alien, like this shot of our hero climbing up. It's the same as the shot in Alien with Ripley climbing up from the shaft. But at the same time, in classic Paul W.S. Anderson style, there's so much flashing lights and random shit that make no sense. Like, the Queen looks incredible, but why is there electricity everywhere? Like, what's going on in this scene? Why is there visible electricity all around her? Like, what does that even mean? Let's talk about the two title characters, Alien and Predator. These things look really good in this movie. There is a surprising amount of actual practical aliens. I was really excited about that when I rewatched it because I didn't remember really anything about this movie. There are some very noticeable CG shots, but there's a lot of puppet work here, and of course the Predators all look fantastic. The whole design of this movie, the costumes, the production, all of that is top-notch. The characters and the direction and the dialogue in particular are really what suffer here. The direction's fine, like it's excusable. The characters are also okay. Where the movie kind of loses me is towards the end, and of course, spoilers if you have not seen AVP. Our main hero kind of teams up with the Predator, and they just kind of hunt the xenomorphs together. I'm not really buying that. I feel like since what you learn in the big exposition scene is that the Predators are using the humans as a way to hunt the xenomorphs, I'm not really seeing them teaming up. They could. I don't really know everything about Predator mythology, but I don't know. They didn't really sell it in the movie. It was so quick. It was literally like a minute, and all of a sudden, the girl and the Predator are just running side by side, and I just laughed out loud when that happened. And towards the end, it just gets really silly with what I call Godzilla 98 syndrome. Do you remember in that film where all of our principal characters were in a taxi cab somehow driving away from Godzilla? Well, in this movie, our hero is running away from the Queen alien, and the Queen is not catching up to her. Let alone the fact that it's in the middle of Antarctica, and all she has on is one layer and some pants and boots, and she's not even shivering. I mean, come on, guys. Surprisingly, this movie is not complete shit. It's just kind of hollow. It has no soul. It's a movie that you can watch that features Alien and Predator. It can be on in the background. You can pay attention to it every once in a while. And there's nothing in it as truly awful as Alien Resurrection and that newborn. Oh, God. I'm going to give Alien vs. Predator a C+. Nowhere near as bad as I remember it being. I think this movie got a lot of hate initially because of the PG-13 rating, and I think a lot of people were just ready to hate this movie from the get-go. It actually has a surprising amount of gore for a PG-13. Next and finally, we're going to be talking about AVP Requiem. Oh my god, I can't wait. And then Alien Covenant, which I actually cannot wait for. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.